is No Gifts Please, the parenting podcast by the pair with no real gifts, but a whole lot of gumption. Hey everyone, I'm Steve Noviello.
And I'm Jenny Anchondo. I'm never sure if I should be personally offended when you say we have no real gifts, but I know that it's the truth.
It's the truth. Come on. It's the whole premise. It's the whole name.
It's the truth. It is the truth.
I mean, every now and again I'll be like, wow, I nailed that. Every now and again.
Truly once in a blue moon.
It's once in a blue moon.
Yeah,
right.
I feel that.
This morning, and here's the thing, I'm like, oh my God, am I just bringing this up? So Jacob asked me he's been doing magic tricks with a dime. And I was like, okay, cool.
Cute.
So he was like, hey, can I have a dime? And I was like, yeah. And I went upstairs to my room and I was like, and I poured some change in my hand and I had like one dime, but then I had multiples of like nickels, quarters, whatever. So I was like, let me grab the dime. And I was like, oh crap, Hudson's going to want a dime. Also, I don't have another dime. So on the off chance that Hudson asks for a dime, let me grab a nickel and another nickel. So I have a matching set of something to deal with that.
The equal monetary value.
But I also need, no, not like I'm going to give you 2 nickels because it's a dime. Like he doesn't care. It's like the item.
Size.
Right. So like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm now walking downstairs with a dime to fulfill the request of my oldest son, plus 2 nickels in case my younger son asks for a dime and I'm unable to reproduce this coin again. I've got 2 of something else that I will then take the dime away from the I mean, it's like, what?
It's a lot of calculations. You could also just say, sometimes life's not fair and sometimes your brother will have things that you don't have. Period. Right. End of story.
Period. End of story. Like, so in support of the idea that I have no gift for parenting, I was like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like, I'm like walking downstairs with
all this money bags, just
can't.
And it's interesting because I was thinking, he would add it up, but it's just about the token.
Right.
Do they usually want to have equal everything?
They want to have whatever the other one has.
They're so close in age, so I get
They
that.
are, but it's super annoying because it's like, here's something that I haven't touched in a year.
Yeah.
And as soon as my brother's hand makes contact with it, it's now the most important thing. And I've waited my whole life for this and I must have it. But then there are other things like, so Jacob at Cub Scouts the other day, they gave out a compass to all the kids for some sort of something. And the guy was like, we have extra. And I almost was like, I'll grab one for Hudson as well. And I was like, you know what? No, like you are not a Cub Scout. You don't get this because you didn't do the activity or the work. So I'm going to have...
I think that's the right decision.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because it's not, we can't be like...
It's the harder decision though, in the moment.
Well, again, short-term easy, long-term hard, right?
Yeah.
So,
how do you guys like Cub Scouts? I've been thinking about switching from girl to Cub.
So we have girls. There are definitely girls in the Cub Scouts. I think it's great. I think Jacob really likes it. It's, I will say, and not to get down on Cub Scouts, but the meetings, do you guys, when you go to a Girl Scout meeting and you have like I don't know if are they packs? Their Girl Scouts have that?
A troop.
Okay. So
but like a group of girls.
But like, so for like her, meaning her troop or like the whole... So like for us, we have
just like the 10 girls that are in her
it. So we have like
his... one family's house.
Oh, so we have like his den, like the tigers. He's a tiger. But then there's also like bears and lions and
tigers,
weebelows, and right, like all of that as a district or pack.
Okay,
it's a pack, right?
A pack.
So we're a den, but everybody, like all the kids of all ages, there's a meeting like once every 3 months that you have to go to, right? Which is essentially an email. You know what I mean? Like this meeting is like an administrative meeting where you're talking.
The meeting that could have been an email for kids, which is
like you're talking to these kids about scheduling. And let me just say, the 2 guys that run the Boy Scouts they're kind of like the front people. I mean, these guys are amazing. One of them did like Pinewood Derby, like get ready at his house. Like he invited any kid who wanted to come over and make their Pinewood Derby. I mean, this guy had like stations, like,
wow,
here's the design station.
Impressive.
Here's the belt. I mean, he had like a belt sander and a circular. I mean, like, I was like, wow. Like this
Girl Scouts doesn't have that.
Yeah. But like it, I love it and he loves it. And I also like the other parents that are in it. So it's nice to get to see them.
That's cute.
But I do feel like some of the more administrative things, it's like I was a den leader last year when he was in kindergarten, and I used to bring like stuff for them to color during the meetings because I was like, we've got to keep you busy while this other person is discussing like the logistics of this year's camp out.
Is it not possible that part of it is them learning how to sit through something that's not super entertaining?
I don't know that you get a patch for that.
Okay. But you know what I mean? Like church. Like I feel like there's always that sort of decision in church. Like when do they go to Sunday school and when do we expect our children to sit through church, which could be less than entertaining.
Right. I would imagine there's probably some sort of like hierarchical requirement of like meeting as a troop or a den or
like it can't
pack.
Be just the parents
like,
doing
like
everything.
We have like everybody has to meet for this many hours and blah blah whatever. But no, it's been great. We're going on a camp out in the spring, which I'm really excited about.
That's why I'm thinking about switching, because I didn't realize girls. I don't know. And somebody please correct me. We're new to Girl Scouts, but they haven't done any actual camp outs.
Are you selling cookies, or is that done?
Opted out of sales this year. We did purchase many cookies, however.
Like, what do you mean you opted out of sales?
The whole troop opted out. We were new.
But I feel like this is like
the whole thing.
Right. No.
Girl Scouts are not just the cookies.
Okay. Have you seen Troop Beverly Hills? Because I beg to differ.
I understand.
Yes, the jewelry appraisal patch that they earned was also interesting, but you've seen this movie, correct?
No, I've never seen any movies. Remember pop culture.
I'm out. We are going to watch this movie, and it's appropriate for Brighton as well.
I should be doing this
Shelley
right now.
Long. You don't know the right. So these nighttime feedings, I'm going to send you a link. So it's this woman who's like a divorce. She's getting divorced in Beverly Hills and like loves to shop. I mean, has no interest in like wilderness things. They need the Beverly Hills troop needs a wilderness girl leader, and Shelley Long, who's this very like privileged divorcing housewife, to decide she's going to do it, and it's a whole.
That's the kind of troop we have.
Hilarity ensues.
Not like not that I'm saying any of the parents are getting divorced, but where it's there's no camping. There's just it's fun. They get nice
star-studded telethons, Johnny and Merv.
But we got Brighton into it saying you're going to go camping, and then she's just like, "Where's the camping?"
I'm surprised they let you opt out of cookies.
I mean, it's like a forced, it's not a forced sales force.
But isn't it a fundraiser for the greater good of the Girl Scouts organization?
I don't know.
Or did you have to do cookies, but you all just bought them instead?
No, I'm on the periphery. I'm not. Heath actually is VP Girl Scouts. He's been taking her to Girl Scouts.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I've been being home with the baby, so we'll find out.
But she's got that cute little uniform, right? So is she a daisy? How does that work?
Yes, she's a daisy. So she's been earning patches through they've done other activities.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm in charge of ironing them on. So she's got like a few petals.
Okay, speaking of which, ours are like a sewing on situation.
Not iron?
I'm like, I've got to get some of that iron fusion paper stuff.
That needs to be is it you or Doug sewing, or have you hired that out?
Well, so, and with all due respect to the Boy Scouts, okay, have you seen, so the Boy Scouts are headquartered here in Dallas. That's you know this, right? And if you go to their headquarters, you will see that one thing the Boy Scouts does not need any more of is money, apparently, because this place is
very posh.
But so last year when I was a den leader, I had to buy a shirt, which repelled liquids and was not an organic fabric of any means. And there were 3 digits in the number for this shirt that I had to purchase, like that had patches and, den leader and whatever. And I was like, I feel like this is a little excessive. But even like with the kids and stuff, it's like, okay, you've got, it's really expensive. Like the
patches,
the whole thing.
The whole
thing. Then, they'll be paid. But again, nice people. But
expensive patches,
like the whole thing.
Great skills though. We got Brighton into it because there's some sort of stat out there about percentage of female CEOs that have been Girl Scouts. And it's like they've all been Girl Scouts, so we're like, okay, be a Girl Scout. And then we didn't sell the cookies, so I don't know how that relates. I don't know if you still get to be the CEO if you haven't sold any cookies or haven't done any gotten any sales experience. But she's only 6, so next year.
Well, she's almost 7.
End of May.
Yeah, that's like in 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever. And again, I do see, Jacob, because I was asking Hudson, I was like, hey, because he, by the way, did find that compass. He's like, what's this? And I was like, it's Jacob's.
Oh, yeah.
He got it from Cub Scouts. And he's like, well, can I have one? And I said, you can earn one. I said, if you want to join Cub Scouts next year. And he was like, oh, okay. He's kind of, on the fence. But I feel like Jacob, would totally be into like becoming an Eagle Scout, like the full on. Right. Yeah.
Totally. And he'll do some sort of big, like mathematical equation to figure out what he's going to build. Oh, I can't wait. Okay, this is very exciting.
Yeah.
His future. How do you guys I've totally gone off topic.
That's fine.
How do you guys decide which activities they're going to do? Do you ask, or do you just decide what, like, we like these parent groups and we like this activity?
So yes and now no. So back before, the first thing we signed up for was soccer because I feel like that's just
everybody.
What you do. Everybody signs up for soccer. My motivation behind signing up for soccer, this was pre-kindergarten, was let's meet some of the other families who are because the YMCA divides you by school that you will eventually go to. So I was like, let's meet some of the other families, which worked out great because these are people who we still know. In my mind, every other kid in the neighborhood was having like secret play dates that we were not, you know what I mean, that we just didn't know about.
But it was just that they were
left out kind of
on
way.
soccer
they live on
together.
They live on the same street or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want him walking into the first day of kindergarten and everyone knows each other and he doesn't. And of course, not one of these children ended up in his class. But honestly, for me as a parent, it made going to that first, did you guys like that first day of kindergarten?
Meet the teacher? Or,
no, like when you drop off for the first time and then you go to someone's house for like a tears and cheers
I went situation. To my car and cried. No, because and then I had to go to work.
I went to like a catered lunch at somebody's house.
Okay, I did do one. Like they definitely exist at Brighton School. It was just I always had to go to work. How did you not have to go to work? Were you?
I think I took the day off for the first day of school.
That's great that you have more than 10 days off.
No, yeah. Well,
awesome for you.
I mean, you used to work for the same company. They're very generous.
I agree.
So we did that, and then we did it again, and then we tried baseball, which I thought he was going to really, or t-ball, which I thought he was going to really like. He liked the structure of that, the like, it's my turn, it's your turn. Soccer, I think, was a little chaotic for him, but then hey, do you want to play? Yes, I want to play again. He asked to play basketball. That didn't work out great, so we asked again, and he was like, I really don't want to do it. And I was like, no problem,
right.
So now, because Jacob has an aversion to running, unless he's on the playground.
T-ball in Texas in the summer, it's 10 million degrees. Sure. T-ball doesn't even get a fair shake.
Sure.
It should be inside.
I agree. Yes. Or like can't we adjust?
Do it now.
Right. Like, can't we just do it in the fall?
I feel bad for T-ball.
Fall ball, is there, I feel like that's got a nice ring to it. Right?
Start recruiting. No, I mean, legitimately, we had the same issue with T-ball.
Yeah.
Brighton said it's hot as a potato, which I don't know what that means, but I agree.
It is hot as a potato. So I asked him, I was asking Hudson the other day too, to kind of prime him because I do think that you should do something.
For sure.
So he's doing Cub Scouts. And I was like, hey, do you want to do, and Jacob's like, well, I said, is there any sport you want to, because he all of a sudden is very into, like, he loved the Super Bowl. He's into stats. He likes, he talks to Alexa about who's winning and who's this. And I was like, okay, like that's more of like an academic look as opposed to a physical involvement in sports, but like, I'll take it.
Yeah. You can be the team manager.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I was asking about, and the other day we were early at Cub Scouts and he and I were playing basketball together and he was really proud of, and I said, hey, buddy, we could go to like a skills course if you want.
Yeah.
Like where you're not necessarily
like
playing on a team, but like you learn that way when you do play on a team, you're even better. Cause I think that was a little bit of a disconnect for him that some of these kids, again, like Doug and I are not playing basketball with you at night in the driveway, you don't have an older brother. You are the older brother, whatever. So he's like, yeah, I don't think so. But we were talking, I was like, hey, what, and I will ask him, is there an activity you want to do? And he'll be like, well, like what? And I'm like, well, you could play this. You could take an art class. He's like, oh, I want to do that. I want to take an art class.
I just asked Jacob when you guys were over at the house, I was like, what are you into? And it's so funny because he's so intellectually advanced, you think he's going to say math.
Right.
And instead he says art, which that just delighted me so much because it was like outside of his, not that he's not gifted in art, but it was like he has these other really obvious academic gifts, but he loves his art. So I think that's really sweet.
I was asking Hudson actually in the car this morning when I was driving him to school. I was like, hey, you're going to be in kindergarten next year. So like, what kind of activity do you think you want to do? And he was like, play. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah. I said, but you're going to play like for sure, And I was like, do you think that, like you might want to like do like a sport? And he was like, sure. I said, what about like singing and dancing? And he's like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do singing and dancing. I said, anything else? And he was like, yeah, I want to be a dinosaur. And I was like, okay, well, wait. Like, I thought I was making some real progress here.
But I mean, acting.
But like, maybe you mean like in a show of some sort?
Yes, I cannot wait to sign him up with an acting agent. And
I do need to find some sort of children's theater situation for him.
And I tagged you on that post, although they were looking for older kids at Dallas Children's Theater. But I also found out recently that some of the dance schools do free lessons for boys because they need more boys in the classes. So I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, well, that
he has to do it.
Well, and I'm cheap, so that's a win-win.
I'm highly committed to this consumer report.
Yeah.
Because I think that Hudson just has such a gift for performance. He's just theatrical in front
Which is
of
funny because
everybody.
I asked him, I was like, oh, you mean like on a stage? He goes, oh, no, I don't want anybody to watch. And I was like, do you?
I call baloney.
Right. Like, and he's like saying it to me in this
totally
very like
does.
theatrical way. I was like, I feel like you think people are watching right now.
Yes, he's like,
other than me.
Who, me?
Who, me?
In a play? Never.
I mean, I took them to the studio the other day at work, and like, we were taking
what
like
did they
pictures on the
think?
set and whatnot, and this is where Daddy's on TV and whatever. Hudson, it's probably the same mirror that was sitting there when you were there. There's
Absolutely.
the handheld mirror, this
Yes.
purple mirror, and Hudson
Some
was
little
like
spots on it.
mugging like in the mirror, like looking at. I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he might follow in your footsteps.
I feel
or
like
even
so.
like on a bit, like
Something.
a different scale.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so interesting to
For
see
sure.
what they do. But yeah, I
Okay,
can't
so
wait for him to.
speaking of work, and I forgot to put a timer on here, so we'll just
Let's
kind of
see.
wing it.
Okay.
It's almost time for you to go back to work.
Oh, I'm so mixed. I'm so conflicted.
Because you don't want to go, or because
No,
you don't
because I want it all.
trust somebody with your child? Because
No.
what is your thing? Because you guys have a nanny, don't you?
Yes, and we've had the same. I mean, this is somebody
holding
that
this woman in prison.
We've been holding
Right.
her for 3 years,
Waiting on the birth of this child.
Yeah, just because we didn't need one during this time because Brighton's in school. But if anybody's ever looked for childcare,
Right.
you know how hard it is to find somebody that you trust and
Yep,
believe in. And
for
so
sure.
we were blessed enough to be able to kind of keep her during these years. And so now it's like go time. I'm only conflicted because I love it all. I want to go back to work. No part of me wants to not work.
Mm-hmm.
However, no part of me wants to leave my child for, like, even doing this podcast was a huge, I almost canceled on you. In fact, if you hadn't told everybody we're starting season 2, I would have 1,000,000% said, I can't do it. It's too soon. I am not ready. I
would have come to your house with Spider and the equipment.
I actually thought about asking that. Like, can I just kind of like Skype in or Zoom in? Skype, because it's 1990. But I have this, I don't know that it's guilt. It's the last child we're going to be having. This time is so fleeting. I know how fast it goes by. I know how hard it is to pump at work and get the milk back home. There's just like that scenario. But also missing them, just missing Brighton and Gemma. It's just so hard. And I wish that I felt like, I could take this job or leave it. Like, I'm just going to leave it and move on. But I also don't feel that.
Yeah.
So I need to have it all. And I don't know how to do that.
To have it all?
Yeah.
I mean, good luck.
But
don't you think?
But like, do dads feel like Heath doesn't feel this? Like, Heath stayed home for one day. Like, he was in the hospital.
Went from the hospital back to work.
And it was conveniently, I think, over the weekend. So then it's like he just went back to work, which I'm I'm not trash talking him at all. We talked about that.
When I was at your house the other day, and you were like, "Hey, babe, can you?" And it was like, I mean, not that he would have an attitude about it, but like, absolutely, of course, love.
Yeah.
Here we go. Look at He was excited that he was using a milk frother to mix formula.
He
He was like
Yes.
super into the whole, like, it's super helpful.
He's he's an incredible dad. Like, that cannot be disputed. But he doesn't think when he's at work, like, what are the girls doing? Like, am I missing time with them? Is Gemma gonna, start walking without me? That's just, it doesn't cross his mind.
Yeah,
like,
for
it's
sure.
just, it's not a thing. And it's such a thing for me. It's such a thing of like, am I going to
Miss it?
And am I enriching her enough? Am I like there enough at all the parties, like the Valentine's party and the Christmas party for school and just everything? It's very conflicting. I don't know if guilt is the word. It might be. I don't know. I think it's just wanting to be everywhere all at once.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that the benefit of when I worked at Fox was that I went to work. I did not sleep for many years. Like, you don't sleep, but going to work at 2 a.m. and getting home at noon gives you everything. I'm telling you, that is the best schedule for a new parent, because your child's sleeping. So you go to work and then you're home at noon and you still get all day, like from noon to 7 with them. So it was really beautiful. Again, I didn't have like a personal life at all, but that's for later anyway.
Yeah. Well, so I am now that one of my colleagues, Shannon, is and her baby. So I'll be on that shift.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's
yes, for sure. Getting up at 2:00 in the morning to go to work is wonderful. But I do it. But listen, one of the reasons why I have been where I am for so long is because of the great flexibility, which is a weird thing to be able to carve out in our profession,
Of course.
because there are absolute deadlines, there are absolute air times. And I always tell people, as inflexible as my schedule is in certain moments, I also have the freedom and the equity in my position to make it very flexible when I need it to be, right? To be like, okay, I'm going to work late today and we're going to go shoot this, or I'm going to, whatever else it is. So one of the great joys of my life is the amount of involvement that I can have in the kids' lives, like going to cafeteria duty or whatever the case is. And again, because some days I work mornings, so I am off in time for that, or
which
sometimes,
is awesome.
Whatever the case is, or I'm building up vacation so I can take the day off and, do, whatever else. But, I don't know that, I think it was a little different with, Jake. When Jacob was born, I remember people were like, how can we help? How can we help? My mother-in-law, so I'd be like, oh, take him. I'm going to the gym or, whatever. And when Hudson was born, I really didn't do any of that. I was like, what, he and I are going to spend, like, we had our little routine, like we wake up, we do things, we'd go to Starbucks together, we'd sit there together, we'd go run errands, we'd, all that other kind of stuff.
Great.
And it was, it was funny because I remember when Hudson was very small for the first couple of years of his life, like he could not stand, I would have to like sneak out of the house. He couldn't stand for me to not be
because you were
there.
that connected.
And I was like, you know what? Like you put in the work and you wonder if you're doing it right. And then your kid can't stand when you leave the house and you're like, okay, I did it. Like so I get it. I get, I get what you're saying.
Is the word guilt for you, or is it just like missing? Like what's the word? 'Cause the phrase out in the world is like mom guilt.
Mom guilt. The boys are older now, 5 and 7. So I'm not, but so I'll give you a perfect example. Like we had Grant Halliburton on a couple of weeks ago, Grant Halliburton Foundation. So I usually MC their Hope Party luncheon, their Beacon of Hope luncheon. Yep. This year, it's on the same day as like family picnic at Jacob's school at the same time. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do your luncheon. Yeah. Like my son has a picnic. By the way, they're going to be asking you. So
okay, well, we'll see if hopefully I don't have a picnic.
I mean, because I was like, what about Jenny?
Yeah.
But it's like I as much as I support that organization and as much as I would love to be there, like you'll be fine. Like somebody else can read out loud and entertain your guests, but I'm not going to get to go to school picnic.
I couldn't agree more.
So I'm going to school picnic.
And I will say my current job is pretty flexible with that and pretty family friendly with that too, where I can schedule a shoot in the morning and stop by the school for something, or also say, hey, I'm going to MC this luncheon. Let's do a story on it while we're here, or let's cover this event, or sort of like work around it in some way. And Brighton has started to be to the age where I can take her with me on stories if it's a kid focused story. Yeah. So we've started to kind of like work that in a little bit.
That's cute.
Which has been really fun. She did one at like a haircutting place, but she gets, when she goes on a story with me, she has an assignment. So she has lines. She has to say a couple things. It's not just like a free for all you get out of school.
She's earning her SAG card.
Yeah. I'll pay her with like a trip through Starbucks and a protein box or whatever she gets.
It's funny. Speaking of which, totally off topic. So I had Stephanie Holman from Housewives of Dallas.
I love her.
So,
oh my gosh, she's so dear.
So and not to like fangirl about it, but so I obviously watched the show. Mm-hmm. I always thought she was lovely, and I liked how real she was with her life and where she's from and her kind of own struggles and whatever. And so I invited her to be on my new show on Fox, which by the way did get picked up, and we're coming back.
Yeah, congratulations.
So she was one of our panelists, and we were talking about the Housewives experience, and she was saying that her boys, and she said this on the air, I'm not telling you anything she wouldn't tell you, that at one point her boys, because they were on the show, they were like, listen, if you're getting paid, we're getting paid.
Fair.
Like we're
super fair.
Yeah. Like if we're gonna have to be on this show, like we need a cut here. And they totally did. I mean, I think her and Travis facilitated that maybe perhaps from
not
their paycheck.
Bravo,
Well, I don't know that Andy Cohen was writing anybody a check, but
still.
fair, right? And good for them to be like,
savvy.
And that this is my value. Listen, you're making money off me.
Yeah.
Like I'm adding value. If I didn't add value, I wouldn't be here. Well, that value has a cost. So Buck up.
Were you their agent? It seems like you thought it through a little bit. Yes, you definitely have to,
So let's hope that Brighton doesn't catch on and wants more than a latte from Starbucks or whatever you get her.
No, I'm not getting her a latte.
Or a milk.
You know who I am. Come on, she's getting an almond milk. Yeah, she's
right.
getting an almond milk and then like the little Peter Rabbit pouch. But that's
sweet.
still a treat for her.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, we make
No cake pops.
No, no. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't tell her that's a thing.
That they exist, right?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Listen, I think that it's, I listen, I will say that there are times of my day and my life where I'm like, you know what? I need some time for me. And yes, please, I'm going to leave you at aftercare for an extra 10 minutes. Or when my mother-in-law's like, I've got the kids and I'm working from home, I'll be like, please don't come here with them because I'm working. And even though you're going to keep them in another part of the house, it's still going to, I just need to, I
need to like take a tip from you.
Yeah.
Because the second I am off, I am like racing to her. And then it's like, how'd my hair get so long? Because I don't get a haircut anymore.
Yeah.
Like like those little things that I used to do just don't happen anymore. And I think I need to take a hint.
Yeah.
Maybe do aftercare once a week. I don't know. I probably won't, but I should.
Well, do you and Heath do date nights?
We used to.
Well, but okay, so now
it's just been a weird phase because like being pregnant, I was so very uncomfortable towards the end of the pregnancy. Then obviously, just like a 2-month-old. But we will eventually do date nights, but that's not time to myself either.
Yeah.
That's like time. That's.
Well, when he's playing video games in the evenings, you're doing
Lord, and he is.
Right. And by the way, let me say, so Doug and I, our anniversary was in January, and we're still trying to figure out how to get to dinner together.
Okay,
right?
I think Heath and I definitely date night more than you guys do.
Yeah,
I think
we do. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we date night a lot, but I need like time I need to get a haircut. Is what I need to do. That's where I don't have mom guilt. I just need a haircut.
I just need what did they say for new moms? 5 minutes in a shower or 5 hours in a shower?
5 hours in a shower. Yeah. 5 hours sleep in a shower will make you a whole new person. I have not gotten either of those recently, but I might eventually.
Well, add some highlights and maybe that'll be a full suite of pampering yourself. There you go. Hey, we'd like to be a highlight of your week every week. Remember, we have a new episode every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. We're available wherever podcasts are. So go ahead, click subscribe, because the only way we get to keep doing what we're doing is by you telling us you are enjoying it. And if you do nothing else today, go find yourself a friend you don't need to clean the house for. We'll see you soon.